Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being with me here today. It is another Thursday, a fabulous Thursday in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where our studio is. I'm in this little town called Mesa, just on the outskirts. And let me tell you, it's been really nice here the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's not been 110 to 120. It's actually been about 65 to 75. Life does not get better than this. My fruits and vegetables that I grow in my garden, they're sparkling with sunshine. I just can't wait till they're fully grown and I can just start picking that wonderful bounty. Yes, I'm one of those crazy guys that thinks I'm like a farmer. I have to grow my own food. And my wife is like, this is really good food. And she's always like, how can we get more of it? And I'm like, and I tell her this again, it's like, well, let's get a bigger yard. So thank you for being here again with us today. I have an amazing couple of guests that I'm going to bring on the show here in a little bit, but I want to get to a little bit of business before we move on with our guest. Again, my name is Robert W. Jones, and I'm the owner and founder of the iNetrepreneur Network, and I'm also the sponsoring author for the Art of Connection book series. We're going to have our third book coming out. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. 3 books now with fabulous authors, entrepreneurs, speakers, founders from all around the world. You can go to 365 days of transformational quotes if you'd like to get an idea of what the book content is like. Our first 2 books have scored in the business sections 43 times as an international #1 best-selling book, hence the little gold badge that is sitting right there. So we will be having a 4th book coming out. I've resigned myself to knowing that this is part of the give back and legacy that I'm creating for the world. Also, I'm so excited. We have our Unchained Yourself Women's Professional Conference coming up on November 17th, 9 to 5 PTT on Zoom. I really love it. It's for women of all sorts of shapes and sizes and what you do and where you're from. But quite frankly, I always like to say this, it's for women and a few good men who are supporting our women who are standing strong in the entrepreneurial community. Also, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net for networking means both live and virtual academy classes, pop-up events, summits, and the industry's first iNet Connect interview panels, and so much more. So please go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net to get you there very quickly. Of course, like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our 2 magazines. We have 2 magazines now, the iNetrepreneur magazine. You can go to iNetrepreneurmagazine.com and sign up for a subscription and look at our digital issues. And we also have the Contemporary Woman magazine. It's contemporarywoman.com. So you can sign up to subscribe from there. But before I move on anymore, I am going to bring our guest onto the show. I'm so excited to have her here. Hello, Dr. Mary Zennett. How are you?
Hello, Robert. Thank you for having me.
We get to talk just a little bit before the show, and I was going like, my goodness, I hear this accent, and I just gotta know where this accent is from. And you said you were in New Jersey, able to look at New York. I mean, how
Yes.
fantastic is that to say that as a kid that you got to, really be right there, not only by New York and New
Yes.
Jersey, by Ellis Island. Tell us your thoughts as you look back on that. And what does that feel for you?
It has helped shape me. We grew up literally looking at the Statue of Liberty. Our school was right there. And, my dad would drive us home and we'd go past Lady Liberty. And I will tell you, Robert, it has really shaped me a great deal because the world on many levels was very different. It wasn't affluent by any means. Okay, so think about the what you would consider the tenements. Okay, but it was safe. It was safe, and And the families, the parents, the grandparents, they kept those streets so clean you could eat off the floors. And I am not exaggerating because I know how hard they worked. I was a little kid. I was 5 years old. And then so you had communities. All different nationalities had their churches and their schools, but we all got along. We all connected. There were no barriers, none of this at any
No.
level.
There was such a sense of just lovely responsibility, accountability, community. I mean, even I dare I say it, love thy neighbor. I mean, communities actually they wore the name well. And now we're so far removed from communities in certain
Mhm.
areas of the country. We actually have to go to trainings to figure out, definitionally speaking, what communities look like and even how to practice being in a community nowadays. And that's
I
really kind of
agree with you.
every
If
mhm.
somebody lost a parent or there was everybody came around that family. Do you know what I mean? There was
Yes.
such, and again, they're not affluent by any means, but hard working. My dad, he used to then get us from school. He would go coach little league, run the bingo hall. It's like and these are long days. These were long days, but it was very normal.
You,
And
you know, and I love that because my dad used to say, "Lawn days make for lawn memories."
Mhm.
Especially when you're doing it with your family. And nowadays, I see that people's memories are in their phone at a restaurant, sitting across from the table from each other. Whereas, I also come up from the generation where I remember my mom or my grandmother sweeping the sidewalks and making sure that the yard was trimmed and the flowers looked beautiful. And there was a little bit of time of this, like kind of like this universal feeling self-care. Everyone, I am with Dr. Mary Zennett. She's a doctor. She is a mom. She's a global health advocate and founder of the Movement for Global Health. You can connect with her at drmaryz at hushmail.com. I'm going to put her information across here right now, or call her at 206 678 7003. And Dr. Mary, I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say, what a rich, wonderful life you've lived to this point, and how much more are you doing with what
Mhm.
and what you're doing from the world. That's what I'm just amazed by. And, in many ways, you're a hero to me because you've bucked a lot of this institutionalization of this profit seeking, and you're kind
Mhm.
of helping put like people seeking ideas of self accountability and health back into our world. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. To me, the gratitude is helping people. Healthcare is about people. It's like bringing them up, seeing the very best that they can be. And that brings me such joy, Robert. It truly does.
Well, and when I was working for the pharmaceutical, nutraceutical companies, and we've talked about that before. I always felt like I was in the place, and I was helping my part to create a healthier, better balanced, and holistic world. And what I found is I wasn't necessarily doing that. What I was doing was I was helping a corporation vacuum up money from the
Mm.
community, of products and services which really didn't help much. And what I think that you do is, with your heart centeredness, in your background in health, in your background in business, you're really trying to open up minds that we ourselves have the power to create a healthier world, don't we?
Oh, we do. We absolutely, Robert, and we must. You know, our health scores in our country, when they rate the health of people, it's terrible.
Oh,
It's like here in the US, we should have such dismal health scores. And it's the little habits. A lot of money is not going to change this. It's the tiny lifestyle habits, but helping people, encouraging them. And when you walk in the grocery store, okay, steer clear of this aisle or watch this classification of products. Watch the cleaning products, all the toxins in the cleaning products. So any opportunity I have to encourage people and like let light bulb goes on, then it's a joy for me. It really is.
You know, and it for me it really is a passion of yours. And I always say passion without character is criminal. You know, you have both the character and the passion, and you live beautifully, and that's what I love about you. You know, one of the things that, you know, I wanted to talk about with you is you said you had a favorite activity as a child, and I want to go back a little bit. Tell us about that favorite activity and why it mattered so much to talk about that today.
It's interesting because we live in such a, we're all computer. Yeah, you would think it had something to do with the computer or data or this and that. Do you know what I used to love to do as a kid? Play double dutch.
Double Dutch.
The ropes that that's not a
Yes.
single rope, is a double rope.
Oh my gosh.
And
You know,
I loved that. And
well,
that's what we did as kids.
and there's something to the double dutch. I know, I've used in my training, jump roping, before, and there's something about the vibration, about the energy, about having to be sustained, about, the way that it creates both relaxation and tensing in your muscles and something. I mean, jump roping is really an amazing activity, isn't it?
It is. When I think about it, that's the other thing, Robert. So we grew up in the city, okay? I've never seen a lawn like on a house until I, was an adult and went off and, as a medical school. I'm like, oh, look at all this lawn. We lived in the city, but it didn't stop. It was like the ingenuity and creativity. What could we do as kids? So yeah, and we would play hopscotch a lot and all those board games, but the double dutch was particularly as like we just gravitated towards that. And it was a great workout. As a kid, we weren't thinking that, we're just having fun.
Right, right. And as a kid, I mean, like with me, I had a lot of different dreams, when I was a child and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. I mean, for me, I was always a servant. I always wanted to do something. I
Mhm.
was very patriotic. I came from a family where I adored my uncle, and he served in Europe during the Vietnam War. And he was in the army, and so I was like, well, if he was in the army, I had to join the Marines. And I thought my career path was going to be an officer in the Marine Corps for and retire. It didn't happen that way. I just still went to the Marine Corps, but there was, other things that happened. But, you
Yeah.
became a medical doctor,
Mhm.
and, being that little girl in Ellis Island, New Jersey, looking across the water and whatnot, when did your interest start to peak into the world of medical, and that became your chosen path?
Well, it's interesting. Before that, I was active on the debate team. And those years shaped me a great deal. We
Mm,
debated health care. This is as a high school student. And then I ended up being on an award winning debate team. We debated these issues and we were very fluent. I mean, because our mentors had us be very fluent. And then I
right.
remember debating public policy on poverty. And so this is back in the day, before I was even thinking about going to medical school. It's like, my God, these are really serious issues. These are really important issues. And that passion for public policy has never left me. And so then I happen to be good in sciences. So then my path was just, oh, okay, this and I care about people. It's people, and then science is like, okay, medicine makes sense. And then I chose psychiatry because I'm just so passionate about being there for people, helping them be the best they can be. So yeah, I always be
Well,
grateful for it, Robert.
you know,
Always.
yeah, and what's so interesting to me about this is because you have such longevity and perspective, I believe that you probably have seen the psychiatry field change immensely from when you first, got into psychiatry to versus what you see now. And I think in many ways, I call it the changing, from mom and pop to box store. And I'm sure psychiatry's probably, followed that same path as well, hasn't it?
Oh. So I'll tell you. So I graduated. I did a child fellowship at Northwestern. Now, Northwestern was an amazing training institution. And
Mhm.
we were taught to care for the whole child. So, Robert, for one child, they would have like case conferences, hours
Mm,
of specialists sitting around the table and everybody giving feedback to try to lift up the child and discern the best
mhm.
ways to help this child. So you can imagine my dismay once I was out in private practice for a while and I felt like it was a treadmill. Somebody pushed the fast forward on a treadmill. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. All those specialized tests that we would order, they were no longer covered by insurance.
Wow.
All they would cover is a little 15-minute med check. Now, wait a minute. Okay. I didn't go to school just to prescribe meds. I'm
Right?
not saying meds don't have their place, but when we were back in training for the children, okay, on the bell curve, maybe 20%, 10% of kids had meds. Okay. No, it went to 90+%. And that's when healthcare changed. And it's very painful, very painful. And Robert, you know what else? I'd see kids coming in, they'd have chips, 7 o'clock at night. They're munching on chips and
Yeah.
snacks and Mountain Dews, big super. And I'm thinking, why are you asking me to prescribe medication?
Yep.
Why? And yet, it was not in our scope at the time in this particular state to even discuss nutrition. And that's insanity. I'm not discussing the nuances of nutrition, but it doesn't take a doctorate degree to say, those chips are not a great idea. And that Mountain Dew is not a great idea. Okay.
And when
And
they eat it even is not a good idea. The last thing the body is
no,
processing before they go into the bed as the wrong time to metabolize something that is so awful
exactly.
for
It
themselves.
is, it is. And a lot, and I believe so today, I do a lot of lifestyle education and we do talk about the food supply. This is critical. Okay. Our soils are not the nutrient rich soils that they used to be.
Mm,
Now think about your family, parents, family members who worked on the farms. Okay, I remember, okay,
mhm.
that was rich soil. Okay, the poor soil is so depleted, it's so tired. Okay, the agricultural, yes, it's efficient, but it's not healthy.
Yeah.
So we have to raise awareness and say, okay, we've got to do better for our kids. We've got to do better for ourselves. The great news, Robert, there are resources to help us. There really are. But we've got to raise awareness of people. Going to the corner grocery store, the corner, gas station, and getting your dinner there is really not a good idea.
Well,
It's not
and,
a
and
good
and
idea.
and it's like what I see. I mean, health is really a war for the mind. you know
It
and
is.
because there is big money that is polluting our radio, it's polluting our social media, it's polluting our television, it's polluting even in our schools, that you can find healthy living, even as a child. And even
Mhm.
some, Dr. Mary, even some of the commercials that I see are ridiculous, where they have these little dancing pills and dancing characters around. That is, I call that, cereal box marketing. They're marketing to our kids to actually ask for those very pills of their parents. To me, that is, it's critical that we somehow change the narrative here, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Now, when you said about the cereals, okay, so one of the things that I'm working with a colleague who's an artist, and we're launching very low cost education for parents on cereals. If we change this one thing and help parents choose healthy cereals, our health scores would go up incredibly, incredibly so.
Mhm. I
And it's
agree
not
so much.
expensive. It's not, you don't have to get a PhD to learn what to do.
Well, I mean, it goes back to really just changing that narrative. It goes back to really, putting, you know, the right fundamentals and drive them back into our family households, because at the end of the day, it's a parental decision on what's taken off the shelf, what's brought home in the grocery bag, what's put into, our pantry, and then it's what's put on our stove, or our oven. And for me, it really does, in many ways, all starts there. And I can tell you, when I was a kid, Dr. Mary, when I was a kid, my mom made my meals. She made sure that I had good, nutritious meals that were well balanced. And I don't think I knew what a cereal box was when I was a kid.
Mhm,
And when
mhm.
I was a kid, I had a speech impediment, I had selective mutism, and then I had like a lazy eye, as my mom likes to always remind me. But quite frankly, everything that we did was very organic in its approach, and it was all people based, not medicine based. And there was not
Mhm.
one pill that I took during my 3.5 years of going from being, extremely, I call it criminally quiet, to actually being someone who could function and be on sports teams and be a thespian, and and actually do some debate. I mean, we really took time to go in and educate a holistic approach of living. And that's what I mean. Our organic has been exchanged for, even, I don't want to say it, maybe you can correct me, but like, in certain ways, fast food medicine.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is. We used to say drive through. It was
Oh,
so fast.
yeah.
We said, why don't we just have a drive through and then give them, but not that we would do that, but that is the model that they wanted.
But
And
and we have it. I mean, you look at the pharmacists, it's drive through. We even have mental health clinics where you can just drive up and in and go out. I mean, I think we're almost there to that drive in. I think you're right.
I agree with you. But I'll tell you what, for the providers, oh, the frustration because you see people not getting what they need.
Hmm.
And it's heart-wrenching, it really is. But that drives us, it motivates us.
Yeah. One of the things I want to do, because we're in a very entrepreneurial community, and you were at our Art of Connection Summit, and you were one of our a phenomenal speaker at our summit, and you were talking to entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, speakers, etc. And what I loved is how in touch and how in tune you are to the business person, the solopreneur, the one that
Mhm,
gets things done, and they sacrifice a whole heck of a lot of self-care to find their success. You know, but one of the things, in for business owners, or W2 workers, etc. I mean, there is such a cost, I mean, a tremendous amount of cost of productivity for people who live unhealthy lifestyles, isn't there?
mhm, mhm. There's no question.
Yeah.
But you see, you can have the amazing thing is when you are that busy entrepreneur, that healthy eating is going to fuel you so you can reach new heights. You can accomplish all you set out to achieve. It's amazing, but we need that fuel. We need the food, we need
Mhm.
clean water, and we need the environment. You said earlier, Robert, the social media, the bombarding, the negative.
Mhm.
We need to be able to put that to the side and
Boy,
infuse ourselves with uplifting, inspiring
yeah.
material. And then that will enable us to achieve our business goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy. You talked earlier on about little habits, and I myself have really attempted to change little habits. I always look at life as like, you have your air, you have your water, you have your food, you have your environment, and the toxins
Yes.
that clean your house and whatnot. And we've talked about this before, and I intentionally changed some things. I even examined it more the last times that we talked, and what I do now is I have a cooler. I have a little cooler, and so when I take my drives and I go to my meetings and I'm not on Zoom, etc., I take better water. I take food that I produce. I don't go out to eat, at the certain restaurants anymore. And one of the things that I found for me is just that little changing of habit, that 5 or 10 minutes just to do it in the morning,
Mm.
has made a tremendous amount of impact in how I self sustain with my energy throughout the day. I mean, I'm not where I want yet, but it, it, it's almost just like a compounding effect. Talk about health, and if you just start using those little habits, I mean, health can be compounded for the good too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I want to tell you how I became so passionate about this.
Hmm.
My mom had a lot of health challenges. So as a young child, really young, I remember she was sick a lot, but she was a master of these tiny habits.
Mm.
She was reading about nutrition. We'd go to the library when nutrition wasn't very popular. This is a long time ago. And I'm going to tell you what happened. In 1983, she was given a diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer. That's cancer that spread to the bone and the liver. Robert, she was given 6 months to live and she was wasting. She was 83 pounds. She
Oh
was
boy.
so weak. But guess what? Power of the mind and prayer. She goes, it's not my time to die. It's not. She lived 26 more years
Oh
with
wow.
good quality of life. If that didn't drive the point home to me, oh, because I grew up with my mom watching she would say, watch everything you put in your mouth.
Mhm.
And it's like, wow. And it reaped dividends for her dividends. And then my boys were born and she was already better. She was able to run after them and be there. And we had great times. But
I
to
bet.
see her so sick, when you think
Yeah.
how she was, it wasn't that long ago, to this vibrant woman chasing her grandchildren.
And that's a beautiful feeling, and it's something that your kids will remember, forever. And they can port and they can take those memories through that knowledge, through the legacy for their own children. And I
Yes.
and I think that, really those are the bonds, and the memories that make us such social creatures. But here's the other thing, Dr. Mary. You have grown so much. You've grown from a practice. You've grown from, really not being known to being really a global phenomenon, I would say.
Oh,
You're an ambassador. You're advocating, for global health issues. You're advocating for a more holistic change in health and lifestyle. What was that transition point, that pivot point? What was that desire to make that change, to say, you know what, I'm helping here locally, but in a way, my
yes.
message is only delivered locally. I need to start speaking up,
Mm,
speaking out, and getting on those stages to create this whole
yes.
new healthy world. What
Yes.
what did that look like, and why?
Well, and I'll tell you what happened. It was about 15 years ago.
Hmm.
And I was just doing what I do,
Yeah.
and balancing work and home and very busy at the hospital and all of that. But then I had the opportunity to volunteer for a not-for-profit. And this not-for-profit donated top quality nutrients to orphans around the world. And Robert, these were children born, we get pictures of AIDS moms with AIDS, tiny, 1 or 2 pounds, and they would get a little bit of nutrients and they would flourish.
Wow.
Then we get pictures. They graduated grammar school, high school. They're wearing uniforms. They graduated high school. And you're like, it's jaw-dropping. You're like,
Wow.
from top quality, and you want to know the funny part? The kids in Africa didn't need, because we ended up doing some research, and that was very, very fulfilling for me, and I think that continued my passion. It's like, wow, yeah, these kids, a lot of them needed their medicine, but they had no side effects. They had no side effects. They were healthy, happy kids from the nutrients. And so this back then really changed my trajectory. It was life-changing. It really was. And so that always I've been passionate about this global health. In fact, I was just on a Zoom. It was a conference in Paris, and I presented 30 minutes on this not-for-profit, and I was showing the pictures of the kids, and they loved it. They just loved it. And I challenged them. I says, now look at the quality for these children at very, very low cost. What can we do? How do we expand this? Let's start talking. Let's brainstorm. And so I have 2 other requests to do these talks, another in Paris and another in London. So people are interested, and that does my heart good. Raise this awareness.
Mine too. Everyone, I am with Dr. Mary Zennett. She's a doctor, a mom, a global health advocate, and founder of the Movement for Global Health. I'm putting her information across here. You can connect with her at Dr. Mary Z. I always like that, Dr. Mary Z. at hushmail.com, or you can call her at 206. She's so brave. I mean, she has her number here for you, 206-678-700-3. And Dr. Mary, it is such a pleasure of mine, for you to be on our show today. And what I love about your motto, I'd want to put that out there because it'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Her motto is, together we can create a healthy world. And I truly believe that it takes each and every one of us to bind together to create that healthy world. And you're doing it. Some people say they do it one person at the time. No, Dr. Mary, you're doing it one community at a time. And I really appreciate you for that. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Robert. It's an absolute privilege. Thank you for all you do.
Absolutely. Thank you as well. And, just before we go, are there any other ways, LinkedIn, or you on LinkedIn, any other ways that people can
I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I have a Facebook page.
Okay.
I try to put environmental health posts on my Facebook page. So yeah, by all means, connect on social media.
Absolutely. And she's also in the Art of Connection book series. She has a page. You can see her page in there and what she is talking about. And she is a super rock star at our events. We love her because, a healthier entrepreneur is just a better entrepreneur. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Mary. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Robert.
Again, I just want to thank Dr. Mary Zennett for being on the show today. Again, she's a doctor, a mom, a global health advocate. And, quite frankly, I see her just becoming more and more of a friend to myself, my wife, and our community. We love her in it because she helps raise the vibration of health for all of us. Thank you so much for being here today. I am bringing on my next guest. I'm so honored and happy to bring my good friend Dan Khuu into the studio today. Dan, how are you, sir?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. I'm glad I got the memo about the striped, the cute shirts. That way we can match really well.
Yes. I mean, look at us. I mean, you think we called each other up and sent pictures of our wardrobe to get this way?
You would almost think that was the kind of link, yeah. Because our conversations, whenever we start talking about things, it's an hour later, and next thing you know, we've gotten so many ideas that we're trying to just change the world a little bit, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Dr. Mary. That's what I love about you. We're all attempting to change the world in healthy ways, in our own ways. And I appreciate you for this as well. And if you guys don't know each other, you and Dr. Mary, I want to connect you both, because I think that collectively, all three of us, and certainly you two, can raise the vibration on the technology that you offer to help with the healthology of what Dr. Mary Zennett authors, and together we can touch more lives. Everyone, I'm with Dan Khuu. He is a facilitator of the iNetrepreneur Network, a marketing technologist and founder of Total Solutions AZ. And for those that are out of state or out of country, AZ is for Arizona, Total Solutions AZ. So just in case you didn't know, and we're in that crazy maverick state, you can connect with him. Oh, I put her. I am sorry. Let me. This is what I can do in technology. I better get this right. Get those pronouns right. Let's see here. There we go. Save that. Go ahead and let's try that again. Dan Khuu, facilitator, marketing technologist, and founder of Total Solutions AZ. You can connect with Dan at totalsolutionsaz.com, or call him at, just like Dr. Mary, he's brave enough to put it there, 480-729-0474. Dan, again, thank you for being on the show today. And I agree with you. Once you get us talking, we could go on for days.
That's just the mark of great minds that know how to work together, and we can kind of take our own feedback. It's something that you don't find very much in the business world, because you always have people that have their ideas. They always believe that they know the right way, and their way is the only way. And the fact is, the more that we talk and the more that we communicate with each other, and we're open to differing viewpoints, whether it is learning about personal health, it's about learning about the health of your business, it's about learning about new technologies. If you're not keeping an open mind and you only ever believe you're right, you will never ever learn anything for the rest of your life.
Well, and how much do I agree with that? Because I know in my life, I've had business partners before, I've had employees before, I've had businesses that operated in several states, and you, like me, we know what it's like to be with business partners who don't know how to communicate. They don't edify. They don't make you feel like you're in a healthy mental space. And you and I both share that. And one of the things that I don't know is is how Total Solutions AZ got started, because I remember you were with your business partners, and then one day you came up to me and you said, Robert, I made the grand escape. It was like, I've started my own company, but you never really, and here I am putting it out all over the world, but you never really told me, what made you stop to say, hey, I'm going to start my own company. I think that, I have some great ideas, and I want to be heard, and it could be financially, it could be mental health, it could be for your family, it could be any number of things, Dan. But, why did you strike out on your own? Because it is scary being alone out there with Total Solutions AZ.
And the fact is, the reason I started this on my own is I was tired of doing the work, but not understanding kind of how the impact and the decisions that were made out of my control were dooming companies around me and the people that I dealt with. And always having to apologize is not a healthy work habit. And having to constantly say, I'm sorry that it turned out this way. I need to find a way to fix it. The fact is, if you do things right the first time, and you do it the right way the first time, you don't have to apologize to anybody. And other people will rally behind you and they'll appreciate it. So I started the company because I've always been about the internet and I've always been about computers and technology. Having programmed my first webpage back in 1996, for crying out loud, it's been something that has always drawn my attention. And when I first encountered the internet on this, a text terminal, just the basic GUI, and we're sending emails and chats through programs like Pine and Elm, I realized that this is something that is going to shrink the world. This is no longer a local economy, a statewide economy, or even a national economy. This is a global economy, and this is the one tool that would help bring that into a single community versus having all of these different people that were only thinking about where they were going to be in a year.
Well, and I kind of want to go back, a little bit about this because, as an entrepreneur, and I had Dr. Mary on, just a little bit earlier. I mean, mental health is really a big part of being an entrepreneur. And, I can only imagine what it was like to be in the habit of apology, because after so many apologies, if that starts becoming a habit, it also can also create a space, in your own psyche to where, you're not feeling maybe good about yourself, because what your excellent is you never have the ability to reach that excellence. And that, for people like you and me who are looking to serve up excellence, it eats us away, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you really doubt your own abilities. And that's never the way that you should feel. You should never really doubt if you're good at something, especially when you're a subject matter expert on something. Don't get me wrong. If you cornered me and you asked me questions about nuclear physics, I'm probably going to sound like the dumbest person that you could find in anywhere. But the fact is, when I had experience, I had these trials and tribulations with this other company where it really started to erode my own self-confidence. And when you're talking about mental health, how do you wake up and look at yourself in the mirror and not be sure of who you are? You don't conquer the world. You don't conquer the day. You don't even conquer that interaction without that confidence. And for somebody to shake it is absolutely the worst thing they can do. And you have to be the person that says, no, I know what I'm doing. I am the best at this. And there's no one that is going to convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I have a saying, you're starting to get to that point when, greatness is just getting up in the morning. And, because we want to live far beyond that type of greatness, and Dan, what I've always marveled about you is, being a part of community, like an entrepreneur network. In certain ways, I feel like there was there is an aspect of that saved you as well. There was people that cared about you. They reached out to you. They made you feel, for lack of a better word, loved. Because I know with me, without this community, there are times when I just, I feel so alone until I get past myself. I look in the mirror and I know that there's other people I can call upon in this community. And I remember when you took that that pivot point in your life and you went from that other company to having your own company. And I remember you and I talking about that, and I said, people know you, they love or like you, and they trust you, Dan. You already have a safe net to go to. I think you're going to be okay. Now, in the back of my mind, you never know, but like I said, I still went on probability, and I you were definitely in the 90th percentile. But as you look at it now, how far you've come. How far have you come, serving up the members of our community, other business owners, and now I think you have the prospect of like saying, hey, I've grown my company to this point. What does the future look like for Total Solutions AZ?
I'm always looking at what's next versus what is in front of me, because, when you're trying to improve people's lives, you're trying to make an impact. The environmental impact of, constant marketing materials and printing, the fact that I can come to a networking meeting, I will literally walk away with 40 or 50 business cards. And then you look at it and say, I really don't want to spend the time entering those in. I'm always looking at the next step. The future for Total Solutions AZ is we are going to continue to grow. We're going to be the company that people will look at to say, I'm trying to find that next great idea to get behind. Who will have it? And I want Total Solutions AZ to be that company. And that company would not have existed without the iNetrepreneur Network, without the community, but most of all, without the people that believed in, me. Just like you said, it wasn't about the company. People did. They gravitate towards you and they support you instead of just giving you that cookie cutter line. Well, you just got to push forward. No, sometimes you have to step back, you have to see the game, and then you have to figure out the rules to play it. And that's what the community really did for me. And that's what's really kind of led to looking at the future of Total Solutions.
Yeah, and Dan, it's like, when you speak of that, I think about this so much because I was a marketing technologist in my career. And, all technology is not equal. And so much of the technology that I see out there is really separating ourselves from who we actually really are. What I like about your technology, it's one of the additive technologies that allows me to to find audiences, to remain connected, and actually serve the people that I can help the most. I'm not relying on an avatar. I'm not relying on some drip system campaign. I'm not relying on a photoshopped image that makes me look beautiful, like I'm going to run across the stage and people just want to be with me because I'm so hot and attractive. I'm just kidding. But you really make tools that allow in-person networking to be so much more impactful, because there is so much thought into, if I meet a person that I resonate with, do I have, a technology that will keep me connected to them? And to me, that's important. Technology only serves, in my opinion, if it creates the touch point, or what I call touchology, from one person to another. And like Dr. Mary and I talked about, so much of what we have in our culture, actually, it takes us into this other, like, what I would call like this digital vortex, and it really, creates a space that divides us. It doesn't actually help create a space that, provides for us. And it's so unusual, the tools and systems and processes you have in place for networkers like me. And I really like, people so much more than I used to, quite frankly. And you give me a tool to make it successful, but you do so much more than the tap cards. You utilize the name badges, and you utilized QR codes, and we're working together on the book, The Art of Connection, Volume 3, and then Volume 4. And what it really is it's just about connecting people together and connecting people with audiences, isn't it, Dan?
It is, and the technology, like you said, only serves us as well as we're able to utilize it and to really use it as a tool. You can, when the phone first came out, you could give people your phone number. You could still misdial it. You could put in people's email addresses. You can be a letter, or you can have a letter in the wrong place. You can put the comma in the wrong place. My Outlook, for some reason, leaves the M off of a .com address every single time I type one in.
Yeah.
So it is only as good as we are able to make it and to utilize it. And all of our tools, whether it's the website builds that we do, whether it's coming up with solutions for businesses to be able to improve their efficiency, no matter what we do, we're trying to help that community. We're trying to help the small business just really get off the ground and get to the point where they're profitable, because when you have people that are doing the work that they love and they enjoy, it improves their outlook, and their outlook improves the community gets better, and that just raises all of our feelings, all of our emotions. It puts us in a better place. at the end of the day, that's where I think we should all be. We should just all strive to be in a better place.
Yeah, and I agree. I always say the job of every entrepreneur is, they say it's to create profit. I'm like, I think it's so much more than creating profit. The job of an entrepreneur is to see a need in a community and serve that need. That is the job of the entrepreneur, and that's what I like to see that you and I do. One of the things that I look at, and you've heard me say this quite a few times. I don't know if I say this on the show very much, but I always talk about businesses in every community. When you have a business in a community, I mean, you are a part of that community, not a part from, from that community. You're a part, let me say, you're a part of the community, not apart from the community. And I think that that's very, very applicable in your case. Not only do you have your business, you also have favorite charities and causes that you like to do. Like with me and my wife, ours is all about foster kids. We our youngest is adopted. We raise money. We spend time with. We sit on boards. I collect. I've been the head for the toy drives with PetSmart last few years running. Because kids, they get the necessities, but they get no more when they're in foster care. And there's nothing like seeing a kid who's had the toy that I helped find for them, and they've had it for the last 5 years, and they've outgrown the toy, but it was one of the things that they treasure so much. It's like a comfort food for them. Tell us, something about, some of the charities or causes that you serve, Dan, and show how you're a part of our community here locally in Phoenix, Arizona.
And for me, working with groups that are behind charities locally, I love working with groups to get the word out there. I actually have several charities and 501c3s that I built the websites for at no charge, and I maintain because I want their message to get out there. I'll go and volunteer, and we'll take photographs, we'll do videos, we'll edit pieces together for them to share on social media, things that they feel they're not the experts at. We lend that expertise and we say, this is how we're going to make things better. This is how we're going to help. We're going to donate our time. We're going to donate our energy. People can donate money all day long, but if you don't have the people that can really put it to good use and to put it into the place where it maximizes the impact, it really isn't doing as much as it could. So whether it's the Angel Tree Kids or any of the charities that I run into, Feed the Children, on a given day, I'm always looking for another great charity to help out, whether it's Eve's Place or whether it's a charity that helps get families into homes and then helps provide them furnishings or just provide education. For me, there really isn't a charity or a good cause that I can't get behind fully. And you tend to stretch yourself a little thin, but it is all about making it better.
And that's what I love about this community, because I always say, before you can work on your mindset, at least the way I look at it, you need to have your heart set. And if you have your heart set, your mindset and skill set will follow, because you'll be willing to do, everything when all of that's aligned, in my world, there's nothing like going out and, for me, seeing those kids, smile, especially when you walk into that room, because they get to know you, and there's a certain amount of gratefulness that kind of feeds the soul. And that's what we want in our community is really heart-centered entrepreneurs that understand that, a community that's healthy and prosperous is a community that everyone can flourish in. And that's what I love about the iNetrepreneur Network. Now, Dan, you also are a facilitator of a chapter in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, tell us a little bit, about what it's like to lead a chapter of, raving mavericks and entrepreneurs in a chapter like in Scottsdale, Arizona.
It's a joy. It's one of those activities that I absolutely, I don't mark it on my calendar. It is something that I look forward to every single week, because there are so many people that you meet that are just a little bit different, or they have a different approach or a different perspective. really kind of captures your mind. And for me, meeting people and then having others that I've introduced them to, and they say, wow, you know what? I didn't think I was going to have a lot in common with this person, other than the industries we work in, but we connected on this level. Watching those connections really flourish, really grow. I mean, I cannot tell you that does more for me on a positive aspect than closing business deals, because it is about, getting people treated right and getting people connected and in the right way. And I love the Scottsdale chapter. It's always been a great place. I've been going to those meetings now for 3 years, and it's a different spirit. It's a different feeling, but it's always one that we want to make sure is inclusive and welcoming.
Yep. And so everyone knows, business owners can come in, and even speak without even being a member, because it's really about, being a part of that community. And Shar do a great job, and that goes in a place where, you're someone that may be very different, but somehow when you get together, it just works. And I love that you have that. So tell us some other things, about what your business offers, Dan, because I could go all geek on what you do for the community, but I also want people to know also what you do, offer with your company.
Well, we're actually expanding out a lot of things that we're able to offer businesses as well as nonprofits. Aside from our NFC tap cards, our evolution cards that everybody just seems to fall in love with in iNetrepreneur, we have been designing more and more websites. People have asked us, how can we make this appear a little bit more engaging? We help them with content. We help them with photography. We have videography services, video editing services. We have expanded and started to include search engine optimization and search engine marketing, but social media marketing as well. I will tell you, I'm not the one that handles it, thankfully, because I have other people that know this a lot better than I do, and I will take that expertise all day long, because to watch them in action, it's just a beautiful thing. And to know that they're helping a small local business where the money is staying in the community and the schools are benefiting from it, the stores are benefiting from it, local restaurants and other merchants, that, there is just no greater thing in my mind. And to be able to offer those services, but have the customer service to where they know who they're talking to. You're not sending an email and waiting 3 days for a reply. You're not making a phone call and you're never getting the same person twice. That drives me up the wall. And I think the customer service aspect of it, the fact that we're able to offer it to companies to help them grow, but in a personal way and with a personal touch, is what sets us apart from the competition.
Like I said, you bring a sense of community back to our community, and that's what I really admire about you, Dan. Well, Dan, it's amazing how it goes. I'm with Dan Khuu. He's a facilitator in Scottsdale, marketing technologist, and founder of Total Solutions AZ. That's for Arizona, everyone. You can connect with him at dan@totalsolutionsaz.com, or call him at 480-729-0474. Dan, are there other ways that people can get a hold of you? Are you on LinkedIn? Do you have other media channels that you're in?
Actually, I do. I post regularly on LinkedIn as well as our company Facebook page. My personal pages are always available. And if they want to just text or shoot me an email, my digital homepage actually has links to everything, so people can always connect with me and with the people that I work with.
Well, Dan, I appreciate you being on the show today. I appreciate you being a good friend and business partner and, facilitator, and just, I could just make a list that goes on and on and on. You're tireless. You're a leader. And you know what? You make networking fun. And I want to say I appreciate you for that. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you for everything you do also.
Wow, gosh, I felt like I was like at a reunion today with drmaryz, Zennett, and Dan Khuu on the show today. Both in their spaces of health and technology. And technology, if done right, can also lead to better health, and being healthy can lead you to just being a greater all-around, entrepreneur. It helps with stamina and focus and just that desirability to be around and to pursue relationships with other people. My name is Robert Jones. I'm the host of this show, and I'm also the founder and owner of the iNetrepreneur Network, and the leader, I guess, of the movement of the art of connection. I mean, gosh, no business really ever grew without having some type of connection out there. So we are here each Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30. I'm sorry, from 2:30 to 3:30 Pacific time, because we're that crazy state. In probably a month or so, we're going to be on Mountain Time. I know you guys have things to do and places to go, but you spent some time and you sent this place with us, and I do want to say thank you for it. Until next week, and when I see you then, have a great day. Bye-bye.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.